In this video, we're going to have a little look at using or adding to our if-else statements. So let's pretend I'm writing a program that was checking a username and password. So first of all, I want to define what I want them to actually type in as their username. So I'm going to say John. John might be the username I'm looking for, and the password might be, I don't know, Pluto, for example. So these are the username and password that the program needs to get in order to keep going. Say this is the username for a login and that's his password. What I want to do is ask the user to put in their username. So I'm going to say input username, seems like a sensible variable, and say what is your username, and I'm going to say input password, input what is your password. Okay, so I've pretty much said here, this is what I'm looking for, okay, and this is the user input. Now I want to write a check to see if these things match up, and if they do, you can log the user in. So I'm going to say if the input username, so the one they type in, is exactly equal to the username, we want it to log in. But we also want to check that the password is right. So that's where we can start using one of these keywords. So I'm going to say if the input username is exactly equal to the username and the input password is exactly equal to the password, then I want to say print, congrats, you logged in. So you can see that both of these conditions have to be met before it will progress through here. I'm going to say else print login failed, username or password was wrong. Okay, so let's run this here. What is the username? So I'm going to say Sandra, cat, login failed. Obviously, it wasn't the right username and password. But if I write now John and Pluto, hey, it checks that they're both right and it will log me in. We do have another keyword we can use here. So here I've said and. Now I could write or as well. That's if you're looking for to check and see if one or another thing has happened. Okay, in this instance, we're going to keep it to and. It reads pretty naturally and makes a bit of sense. So I said if username equals username or their password is right. Well, it's not what we want, but let's run it anyway. I could put in a completely bogus username, like Bigfoot. But as long as I got the password right, it would satisfy this check because it's saying the username equals username or the one they type in, the password they type in is right. So I typed in one correct thing and it logged me in. Obviously, for a password, you don't want to do that. You want it to be both correct before you can log them in. But those are your additional steps you can check. And we could also, for example, put in an age restriction. So I'm going to say it has to be 18. So let's say someone had to be 18 or older to use something. I could say input age equals, now remember I want it to be a number, int input, what is your age? So they have to be 18 or older to access this particular program. I can add another one. So I can say and age is greater than or equal to 18. Let's see what that looks like. So you can see I can keep adding them on. So I'll go, what is yours? Username, it is John. My password is Pluto, and I am 18. Oh, that's actually thrown an error. Ah, I know why. I'm checking for age. I've never defined age before. I want to check against age restriction, that variable I actually defined. So let's try this now. John, Pluto, I'm 18, and it will log me in. Let's say I was John, Pluto, but I was 12, Oh, it shouldn't have logged me in. Oh, I've said age restriction is greater than or equal to 18. That's not what I want to check. I want to check that the age they put in, so their input age, is bigger than the age restriction. So now if I read this, it will make more sense. If my username is correct, my password is correct, and the age I put in is bigger than what the restriction is. Let's try again. John Pluto, and I'm 12. It will tell me not to go in. Now I can do lots of different things down here. Right now I said that my username or password was wrong. Well, let's make this a little bit smarter. Let's see if it can figure out what was actually wrong. Okay, so I'm going to say under this else statement, I can write another if. I can nest it. So I can say if my input age was less than the age restriction, okay, it must mean that you are not old enough. Okay, elif your username does not equal if the input username does not equal the username it is looking for, I can tell them your username was wrong. Okay, and if all those things aren't the cause, well, it must be your password was wrong. Okay, so I can actually make things a little bit smarter by using more if-else statements lodged under here. So let's go run. Oh, what have I done here? Line 15. I haven't closed my little quotation marks. What is your username? John Pluto. I'm 12. Oh, I'm not old enough. Let's say Sandra Pluto and 20. Your username was wrong. Let's say John. Let's say Jupiter. And let's say 20. Your password was wrong. So it's telling me what's actually wrong here. And now if I get it all right, I can log in. So we're doing smarter use of our if and else statements there for more challenging problems.